Hey guys, 707. Hey, so I was actually recommended a video from one of the guys that I used to work with. I no longer work with the company anymore, but he did come up with a pretty cool idea, which I thought was actually pretty useful. Pretty much just coming down to the conclusion of what's commonly wrong with cars. When I say cars, I mean maybe manufacturer specific, cars specifically, so on and so forth. So this is just going to be a kind of a mixed video of kind of whatever. Um, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is we're actually going to start with one of my favorite manufacturers, Chevy. Chevy is a very good, dependable, reliable company, but as like anybody else, they all have their faults. More specifically, with their cars, about maybe within the last 20 years or so. Pretty much going back from the early 2000s, um, almost every one of them always have 100,000 mile problems. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be something minor, could be something severe. Nobody ever knows until that time comes. Um, but one car specifically that I've noticed has been a common issue, and this is a car that I failed numerous times for inspection, are the Chevy Cavaliers. Nothing specifically when it comes to the Cavaliers, meaning if it's got a certain package, certain engine, doesn't really matter. But the Cavaliers themselves are notorious, and I mean notorious, unless garage kept, will have a rotted out rear subframe. It's literally, you'd be lucky you get 20 years out of them. Again, unless it was garage kept. If you kept really good maintenance on it, you washed it in the wintertime, yeah, then yes, they may not be rusted. I can't say that for all of them, but definitely Cavaliers are notorious for frames rotting out. But their trucks, on the other hand, their trucks are okay. Um, I would definitely say out of knowing what I know about the manufacturers on their truck lines, I would still stick with a Chevy all day long. But the mid 2000s up to about 2016, give or take, I can't say exactly, um, again, are also notorious for 100,000 mile problems. Their transfer cases on their 1500s and 2500s are also weak, meaning usually once that 100,000 mile mark goes, you usually have problems either shifting into four-wheel drive, um, or it may even slip out of four-wheel drive after you've already engaged it. Other stuff like that. It usually has a big issue where even, for instance, putting the vehicle in four-wheel drive may not necessarily mean the vehicle's in four-wheel drive, and it kind of gives like a false alarm to it. Unfortunately. Now, one truck specifically that I'd like to bring up for Chevy is what they call the Chevy Avalanche. They're not horrible, but my big problem with the Avalanche is they look like a truck. They have good intentions of a truck, but they don't do truck things. Meaning, when it comes to hauling them, they can't haul what a typical, say, Chevy Silverado can. Like, my truck for 2012 can pull more than, like, a newer, I know they stopped making them, but a newer version of the Avalanche by a couple thousand pounds. They're not trucks. They're literally just Chevy SUVs with a bed on it, and they converted it to something else. I'm not a big fan of it, but I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You just kind of live with it, I guess. Some people like just the looks. Some people don't use their trucks for trucks. Good for them. Get an Avalanche. But if you're looking to buy a truck that's a Chevy, don't buy an Avalanche. It's useless. It literally doesn't do anything. Unfortunately. So, of course, Chevy has its downfalls, but there's nobody on this entire planet that has more freaking problems than Chrysler and Dodge. That whole freaking line. I'm just going to throw this one out there just so I don't have to continuously repeat. Chrysler engines, doesn't matter what car it's in, if it is a 2.4 liter engine, there is a TSB out 90% of the time for your vehicle, because for some strange reason, they like to take oil out of the engine but never burn it, if that makes sense. The engine goes bye-bye and nobody knows where the hell it goes. And if you talk to Chrysler about it, especially if you happen to have one of these vehicles, that their only suggestion to fix the situation is to replace the entire fucking engine. Because they don't even know what the hell's going on. So you would think after having all these engines and having them out for years that they would just, I don't know, figure out what the hell's going on. This would just make sense. I mean, they still sell cars to this day with that very same engine in it with those very same problems. It's been years. Let me tell you. Now, I did kind of lump a couple of the cars together. For example, like the Intrepid, the Stratus, the Avenger, all those body styles of cars aren't horrible. They're usually pretty dependable for the most part, as long as you take care of them. But those cars specifically are notorious for their engine mounts going. And the problem is the whole damn car will shake when you go to shift gears. It's ridiculous. Like, it doesn't sound good. Your car feels like the whole freaking engine's gonna fall out. Like, there's something seriously wrong. Another one, the Dodge Caliber. Again, they're not horrible, but their biggest downfall is they have the power to complement the car. They don't have the handling to complement the car, especially in the wintertime. They're actually not very dependable at all in the wintertime. Most people that I've talked to that do own these cars actually have a second car for the winter for that reason. There's not really anything nice to really say about it. They just suck with handling, but their power is good. Now going down like, a blacktop road, going around a corner, stuff like that, yeah, they're usually pretty good. But you throw any variable in there, like snow, rain, even, just a small puddle, they really start to think twice, unfortunately. Another good one. The Dodge Dart. This is also going to be second for the Chrysler 200 as well. Now, I can't say for all, because by all means, you can never be 100% on anything. But they are notorious for wearing tires, brake wear, and it's all abnormal stuff. Like edge wear on the tires, even though the car's aligned and the tire pressure's right. Doesn't make any sense. Same thing with the brakes. Everything could be lubricated, everything could be installed properly, but yet half the pad only has, say, 230 seconds, about 20% left, and the other side could have, let's say, 530 seconds, 50%. Why? I don't know. Nobody could seem to figure this out either. The next car would be a Dodge Magnum. Also second with the Chrysler 300. Now, first off, they look like two entirely different cars, but if you rip off the body on them, it is the same damn car. I kid you not. They run the same, they work the same, exactly. But the only issues that they seem to be having, more specifically, are powertrain issues, meaning engine problems. They can't seem to figure out if it's an engine issue per se or if it's an electrical issue, but there's some kind of problem going on with the engines themselves, more specifically on the V8 side of things. Again, why? I don't know. Now, the Dodge Neon. I really like the Dodge Neons. The Dodge Neons are very light, quite powerful cars. But, for what they are, they're weak on the power side, if that makes sense. The cars themselves have a decent engine to complement it, but when produced from manufacturer, they don't have enough power. Like, Like, for instance, an SRT4 motor from factory usually comes out with about 230 horsepower and about 250 foot-pounds of torque. Again, it's not exact, but it's about a ballpark of it. Now, those stock internals in that engine from factory can take up to 600 horsepower. Factory internals. Literally, you put a bigger turbo on it, tune it, and you got 600 horsepower. Off the factory internals. Why is the manufacturer holding back? That was their selling market right there. I don't get it. I really don't. But that does, again, include the SRT4s as well. Another vehicle that I'd like to bring up for you is what they call the Nitro. The Dodge freaking Nitro. Now, for somebody who has worked at Chrysler and has gone head to head with Chrysler, and had to work on way more than I care to admit, Nitros, for some reason, are notorious and are just absolutely known for electrical nightmares. It's not specific. Anything could go wrong at any given time because of an electrical problem. 90% of the time, if you think it's a basic fix, it's probably not. Again, I don't know why. It's just something that just didn't work out with them. They couldn't figure it out. I have no freaking clue. Now, what I'm going to do, just to kind of put this out there too, is I'm going to finish up this Chrysler section, and then I will do a part 2 of common problems that are wrong. Now, the PT Cruisers, they're not bad, I say chokingly, but they're not good either. The cars look good, their bodies are incredible, they last forever, their paint schemes, their paint themselves, they're awesome. Their bodies last forever, it's great. Of course, unless you get hit. Now, what I do know about PT Cruisers, and again, I haven't worked on too many, but these are just a couple things that I've come across, is they just don't have very good transmissions. A big thing with Chrysler and or Dodge, period, is their CVT transmissions. They're not good. They're not dependable. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes to work on them. There's a reason behind that. The PT Cruisers, the underside of it, the undercarriage of them, like the frame, I don't know, all the suspension that connects to it, like to rust. But the problem is they don't rust slowly. They rust pretty quickly, actually. Usually where, like, how some people say surface rust on the frame is okay, not for a PT Cruiser. Like, surface rust on, let's say, my truck. Surface rust on my truck is okay. I could probably get another about 10 years out of it before it becomes a concern. PT Cruiser, surface rust, you're looking at maybe 5, 6 at best. Before that car is no longer legal to be able to put state stickers on it and to be able to legally drive it safely. They also have, issues with the window motor, and they have nothing but electrical issues as well. A big thing with Chrysler is their electrical problems. I don't understand why the manufacturer won't look into them. This is just kind of what the cars are. But their window motors specifically are one of those ones where they don't really warn you. You just hit the button, put the window down, and then all of a sudden it don't go back up. And it becomes a big problem, especially if it's going to rain or snow. Now, one of my all-time, and I really, really want to say all-time, hated cars for Chrysler is what they call the Dodge Journey. I hate these cars. I literally would love to just have a job where I could just take these cars, throw them on a cliff, and watch them burn and blow the hell up. I hate these fucking cars. Like, I've had a lot of love-hate relationships with cars. I straight up just hate this one. Like, that car specifically. The transmissions in those things, gone. Forget it. literally forget it. I guarantee, unless, well, again, I can't say 100%, but I would say a good at least 85 to 90% of the journeys that are still on the road, I guarantee you has at least a handful of transmission problems. Whether if it's a shifting problem, regardless if it's automatic or manual, doesn't matter. They have problems, unfortunately. They're also electrical disasters. Literally. Again, it's one of those ones where it's not easy to diag. Like a turn signal bulb goes out, it may not even be a turn signal bulb that's blown. It literally could be a multifunction switch, or it could be the wiring that goes to it. It could be something that comes out of the fuse box. Nobody knows. Why they do it, I don't fucking know. Doesn't make any sense. Never did make any sense. Then we also have the Durango. They're okay. I gotta give them more props. The Durangos are also like the Aspens. Again, I gotta give them props. They're not horrible, but they're not good. Those things, first off, are nothing but fucking rust buckets. Literally, they rot. I don't know why. They're kind of like the Dodge Dakota. They're the same idea. They just rot. I will get to the Ram situations a little bit later in another video. But they just have nothing but problems. The Durangos are also notorious for what they call dual climate control. Typically, it's the automatic dual temperature control than they are manual. But those vehicles alone, there's lines that go to the rear heater core from underneath the engine bay that run next to the sidewall, and for some reason they like to kink and manufacture it and think about turning the clamp, and it will actually rub the lines raw. When I say raw, I mean it will puncture them. The issue with that is they are literally like 3 hours at least of work just alone to replace the hose just to the back of the car. And then looking up the manufacturer's recommendation on how to bleed is almost another hour-long process. So for something that the manufacturer screwed up, from the assembly line is going to take you 4 hours to fix if it's already long gone. I don't understand. I literally don't get it. It's a pain in the ass. They're literally a bitch to bleed. If you're lucky, you can do what I like to call cradling. Meaning if this is the front of the car and this is the back of the car, you'd raise the front, and then you raise the rear, then you raise the front, then you raise the rear. You do that about 100,000 times, and if you're lucky, you'll get some heat in the back of the car. I can tell you most of the time that ain't going to happen. So your only way to do it is actually to vacuum the system with some kind of vacuum system, whatever apparatus you want to use. And what they're going to tell you to do is let it sit there and see if you have a physical leak. When doing that, usually let it sit for maybe about 20 minutes, half hour. If you feel real confident, an hour. Just to see if you're losing pressure. If you are, or you can't pull a lot of vacuum in it, you have a leak. Now, if that turns out good, what they have you do is they have you what they call pressure bleed, which with this very same tool apparatus that Chrysler recommends that you use, it has a hose that comes out the bottom of the tool and it goes into your coolant jug. So with the vacuum, it helps siphon it up, and it will literally jet into the system to bleed front and rear cooling lines to prevent any air, bubbles, anything from getting inside of it. Right. It's a pain in the ass. Seriously, that's really what it is. It's like a 4-hour long process from start to finish, and that's if you know what the hell you're doing. If you don't, this could literally be an all-day project. So, and then the last one that I want to bring up for Chrysler and Dodge is going to be what their Their Chrysler Pacifica specifically, they're notorious for radio issues. They just always were. They always are. Doesn't matter how many times you freaking flash them, the radio dies. Why? I don't know. Typically, it's the newer ones, though. Again, I have no idea why. There's no reason behind it. I don't understand it. It just happens. Now, to go on the Dodge side of things, you have their Caravans and their Grand Caravans, which isn't so bad. Now, I'm also including all the medium-duty minivans as well, like their Ram vans and their cargo vans and stuff like that. They usually have rear sliding door problems. For some reason, there's something wrong that it either binds, the door slides off a track, the door just stops working. Like, anything could go wrong with those damn things. So if you're going to get one, I would definitely try to stick with a manual door and not the new and improved automatic door. It'll save you a lot more bullshit in the long run. They also have issues with their, bear with me, exterior door handles. I've had so many cars, while those specifically come into the dealer when I worked there, where the customer would say that they can't open their door because their door handle fell off. Literally, I can't make it up. They open the door to set the automatic door thing, and their handle's in their hand. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't give a damn. I know, it's darn. Anyway, they also have potential battery problems as well. Battery problems meaning, unless they're driven all the time or they sit on a battery charger, for some reason you only get maybe about 3 years, tops, out of a battery. I don't understand. Even if it's the OEM one, if it's the original one from factory, you usually have a better shot. But even if you go back to the dealer to get a replacement battery, you're looking at about 3 years. And that's on a good 3 years. That's driving it all the time. Don't let the damn thing sit. You got to drive it long haul, drive it short haul. You got to start it numerous times. Like, there's so many different things you got to do just to keep the damn battery going. Now, back in the old days, you can go get a damn battery and literally the damn thing would last you 5-6 years. Easy. Hell, I just had to replace my battery like a year or two ago. And it was the original one for the truck. 2012. Literally, I got almost 10 years out of that battery. That's literally unheard of now. Literally unheard of. It's insane. Batteries die so damn fast nowadays. Like, and that's just for any manufacturer. Like, certain cars just don't have good vibes with certain batteries. But this one specifically is one of those cars. So, but I am going to wrap it up here. Again, I will definitely make a part 2 of other manufacturers. Just to kind of get your feet wet on just something I came across. So, if you guys have any questions, any comments, concerns, please leave a comment behind. And again, I also do have a Facebook page if you're interested in going on there. It's under Lucky Trucky. I do usually put up some kind of update on there just to kind of foreshadow a video, especially if I already have the idea by like beginning to midweek. Usually about Wednesday, if I do have the video idea, I'll usually put up some kind of update or foreshadowing of that week's video. But again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, if you guys want to leave me a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. But again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys learned something today, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Have a good one.